Alrighty. Hello. Hello. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Break the Cycle, Rewrite the Narrative. I'm Kirsten. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll know it'll be a deep, real, and energizing conversation.
And I'm Sarah. We're honored to have, to be with you all tonight and grateful for the community showing up again. And again, these nights matter, you matter, and the voices you'll hear tonight are doing powerful work.
If this is your first time tuning in, or if maybe you're one of our regulars, go ahead and drop in the comments where you're watching from, how you found your way to us, or what brings you here tonight.
Maybe you're here because a loved one is navigating reentry, or you're curious about what it really takes to come home and build a new life. Whatever brought you, thank you for showing up.
So a quick little intro about me. I am the president of Bridges Beyond Bars. My journey in this work is personal. It's academic and it's relational. And I've spent the last 5 years focused on justice reform, particularly elevating the voices of those most impacted, both inside and outside. We believe that healing, access, and accountability cannot wait. And I'm honored to be in this space with all of you.
And I'm the vice president of Bridges Beyond Bars, an advocate, a wife, a mom, and an Omi. My heart is in the work because I lived it too. The fight for justice, healing, and reimaging what's possible after incarceration isn't just professional, it is personal for me as well. And it's powerful to be doing this together with so many people who care.
So let's get into it. Share the live if you haven't already. Follow our page and our guest tonight. Check the comments for petitions and link to support tonight's guests and causes. And that's how we build something bigger than what's going on tonight.
Tonight we're talking about reentry, not just the logistics, but the hard work behind it. What does it take to truly prepare for coming home? When should the preparations begin? What conversations are being avoided, and what does vulnerability have to do with any of it?
We'll talk about the gaps, the spaces where people do fall through, and what a second chance actually looks like once those doors close and the lights go out. Because second chances sound good on paper, but what do they look like in practice?
And we are so glad to have not one, but two incredible voices with us tonight. Darius and Martez, they're both here live and ready to share their journeys, insights, and realness behind reentry.
We are going to play a couple of slideshows now just to give you a little bit of insight as to who they are and their journeys, and then we will get straight into it.
Self-reflection, peace of mind, happiness, life and love. I cannot find any words that come out of my brain. I feel the stress and the pain, so I drink until I sink. I'm in sync with another part of my inner self, so I think I should leave. I tried to change it, but it wouldn't, so I let it be. Screaming fuck you too once I realized now you don't really fuck with me. Got feelings that are locked away. They'll fuck you up if they ever got free. One of my exes probably got the key and probably dropped it in another nigga G. Hermit. No wonder I don't really take the people make me never want to speak. And I know when it's real, I know how I feel. I know when the love really there. I might try to catch a mid-air and she gonna jump, knowing that a nigga right here. I got a pulse clear, I got a pulse clear, I got a heart. I stare at the ceiling. I'm alone in the dark. I know this feeling. I'm surrounded by sharks, so I swim slow. Got hopes to blow like Nintendo. I'm dancing on them like I'm Winslow, cause the window's super small. Could've got shot cause my block kill 'em all. Kept that 9 Glock, nigga, I can't chill at all. Police try to grab us, young, I'm taught the whole water, I ain't spill it all. Hermit. Can't stay here, I never leave room for the lies. It's hard to trust you cause the things people do for a pie. My light shining so it got me feeling like ride. Be my riot, understanding we use for the eyes. Hermit. My pops had me young, I was young when I started playing with guns. Young rebel, breaking the law was our way of having fun. My pops loved a little nightlife, so he ain't racing his son. My mother wouldn't let him even if he wanted, she ain't staying in touch. Hermit. Now I'm pouring up a drink, having $1 million conversations with my brother. Now I'm building up a team. 100, fuck what a nigga think, we run it. Hermit. Talk to him rap.
It seems I done seen it all. So the folks who done seen me evolve. Seen on the scene, hopping out of something so clean, the honey get wet, it dissolve. I mean, all of the fiends to come around back, give me money, get cracked, get lost. Get up out of here. 12 about to run up, no time to put the gun up. Watch how this motherfucker get tall. I'm at Hermit. Better bet your last dollar by next week, a nigga have another one. Confirm it. If I run into the one who shot my brother, then I better be a murder one. Burn it. That's blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh. Nothing I respect, you respect. And you can bet your ass on that. You give me nigga X in the emoji tongue. Step up to me with some nerve, boy. Hey, I get your shit put on the curb, boy. Hey, I'm waking up, squeezing the trigger, I'm paranoid. Bullet hole in the bedroom door, shell case on the bedroom floor. That right there ain't no metaphor, it's facts. Okay. Them young niggas toting them pistols with permits. They OG as hot as the furnace. They practice and preach what they learning. This shit is concerning. Damn. These niggas more grinning than Kermit. Okay. Too much of that lean in their stomach is burning. They digging up graves determined. Give me some time.
Be the reason why I never leave. Never thought I'd see the ending. I feel like I'm still alone inside, even though I know I'm winning. Shorty's so attentive, but my gut telling me she pretending. Just feel like it's tea without the lemon. There ain't nothing in it. Just like a relationship that's been in problems, always pending. You try to act like you independent, but you so dependent. Yeah, I know my lineage, got your nose up in it. Find some business, now I'm living fringes. Never met so many, not authentic. Hermit.
Daddy worked like a mule mining Pike County coal. He fucked up his back and couldn't work anymore. He said one of these days you'll get out of these hills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. See, the ways of this world will just bring you to tears. Keep the Lord in your heart and you'll have nothing to fear. Live the best that you can and don't lie and don't steal. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Well, Daddy, I've been trying, I just can't catch a break. There's too much in this world that I can't seem to shake. But I remember your words, Lord, they bring me to chills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. keep in mind that a man's just as good as his word. It takes twice as long to build bridges you've burnt, and there's hurt you can cause time alone cannot heal. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Well, Daddy, I've been trying, I just can't catch a break. There's too much in this world I can't seem to shake. But I remember your words, Lord, they bring me to chills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Keep your nose on the grindstone.
Alrighty. So, Darius is who you saw, known in the music world as Reborn as a creative force. So he started writing at just 11 years old, using poetry as a way to process his world, and never stopped. From releasing music and studying law while incarcerated to advocating for others and telling the truth through his art, Darius is a testament to resilience. He came home in July of 2024, and he's been building ever since.
And alongside him tonight is Martez, someone who wears many hats: mentor, COO, reentry coordinator, and proud father of 4. His path includes multiple federal and state sentences, but also business success, community leadership, and a deep commitment to helping others transform their lives. He's turning trauma into systems change, and his story is layered, powerful, and full of redemption.
Let's bring them up. Hello, hello.
Hello, how you doing? Peace.
Good. Hello, Darius and Martez. We're so grateful to have you both with us. I guess before we get into the deeper conversation and topics tonight, let's start with who you are. So can you each share a bit about who you are, your journey through incarceration, and what brought you to this moment to be with us here tonight, telling your story? So can we start with you, Martez, maybe?
Oh, yeah, sure. It's been a long path to get here. I guess I don't even know where to start. Because if I take it all the way back to like childhood, I was a good boy. You know, I was a church boy for a long time. You know, and so as the curiosities developed and the world changed, I ended up in the 90s. You know, so I ended up experimenting with the street stuff. You know, just hanging around kids my age. Poor decisions. You know, my dad wasn't there. My mother worked a lot. And that was a common theme with a lot of my friends. And so we kind of figured it out as we developed, which ended up going a different way. I ended up in juvenile, Beaumont, at 17, the year I was supposed to graduate. Before that, though, I got kicked out of public school. I just want to say, they kicked me out of Denby High School, man, for having a seizure. I had a seizure, man. They expelled me. Sent me to freaking Deer Park. I met all the thugs in the city, all right? So I just want to get that disclaimer. Like, I had some push. It was just the people, man. It's crazy. So anyhow, my senior year, I went to Beaumont. I got 6 to 9 months. We did a robbery. You know, all robberies are bad. I just happened to get away with it. My friends didn't. Somehow they ended up coming to get me. You know, I was a new guy. I'm not from uptown. I moved to Denby when I was 88. So, you know, nobody knew me. So I got away with it. But the friends of mine that they did know, that got caught, held me accountable. And so I went to Beaumont, did that, met more young people like me from Richmond and Lynchburg and all over the place, Petersburg. They let me know that Newport News was just a reflection of what's really going on, which pulled me in those directions. It got me on the road. So instead of being local, I ended up traveling a lot and doing wrong in a lot of different places. You know, and so it's like I was in love with that code. I was raised by a lot of older people, so the street code was there. I fell in love with it. I stayed true to what that nonsense was. I did a state bid. Used to play with guns. That time. That's just the nature of the street. some things happened. I did a state bid, 18, came home, got another gun. The feds picked that up. I went to the feds for a little bit. But all the things that I was doing, I never got caught for. So I felt that I was good at it because I sold drugs, but I wasn't catching drug charges. I just kept getting guns and the violence. So I'm like, okay, if I don't commit violence and I don't pick up guns, I can get all the money I could get. And that was my belief until I got a weed fed charge. So I went back to the feds for marijuana distribution. So I did enough to go away for a couple of years, but it was never enough to get me to stop doing it. And I never denounced the code. I always justified everything that went on in the street. So, a juvenile, a state, 3 fed bids. And the last one was a poor business decision. I was an import-export guy. And with all import-export guys, everything comes my way. As a capitalist, I saw a lane in Viagra and Cialis. And so I manufactured and sold it. Did it to that, it's crazy. So when that happened, they gave me enough time to sit me down. I was in my 40s, so I figured it out from there. Been home since 2021, just doing the right thing. I did everything wrong twice, so I'm good now.
Darius, do you want to share sort of yours from the beginning?
Oh yeah. I've been back and forth from Chicago to Virginia most of my life. It's two different worlds. The media try to make it more than what it is, nowadays. But, so when I came from Chicago as a teenager to Virginia, it was kind of like I was a little more faster. The streets was a whole lot faster in Chicago than it is in Virginia.
Yeah.
So we was a little bit more wilder at a younger age. So I was locked up. I got locked up when I was 16 in Chicago selling drugs. In Chicago, when you sell drugs as a teenager, you're selling them right in front of the police. So the name of the game is like, just don't let them catch it on you. You know what I mean? So when I came to Virginia, after they told me to come back to Virginia with my mother because I was staying with my oldest brother and my aunt. They told me to come back to Virginia with my mother. So I came back when I was 17 and tried to get my life together, went back to school, graduated from high school. I had to take double classes. I had to work at night. I had to go to day school, night school, and my job. So I was willing to put the work in. I was really, I was trying to change my life around, and I was living a double life at the same time. Like I was in the streets and trying to change my life around at the same time because I kind of grew up without a father, like my actual father. So it was like I kind of like look for being a man in the streets. You know what I mean? So when I come to Virginia, I bring a whole lot of Chicago culture with me and try to change the way things is in Virginia. And now I'm beefing with other people in the streets. And to make a long story short, I end up shooting 2 people like a month after I graduated from high school. I was 18 years old. And they locked me up, and I ain't see daylight since. They gave me 54 years, sat me down like you should have stayed in Chicago with that. You know what I mean? And I end up doing 17 off of the 23 because they gave me 54 and suspended 31. I end up having to do 17 years at the age of 18. I still have 4 more years left if they wouldn't have changed the use of firearms for the not to a non-violent offense. So I got out 4 years early because of the law changes, thanks to the 40 Strong and the Humanization Project. You know what I mean? People pushing legislation at the system. But I was a very smart, intelligent young man. I always wanted to be a scientist growing up. I didn't want to be in the streets growing up. I wanted to be a scientist. You know what I mean? But growing up in poverty, you don't really have the tools that you need to actually reach that goal. You don't have the influence. Like I didn't have people to pull me to the side and be like, all right, this is a better way to get to your goals and your dreams. I didn't have somebody to tell me that the streets weren't real until I got locked up. And by then it was too late. Once you get locked up, then you be like, oh man, you become aware of how fake the streets really is. It's not really nothing there for real. It's just a system created and designed to hurt our own neighborhoods.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. Martez, tell us what it was like when you first came home for like that first month, trying to get back into things. I know
Is she coming back?
Pardon? No,
can
go
you
ahead, Sarah.
okay. uh
Yeah, so
and
I came home July 17th of 2024. I was supposed to get out on the first, but I don't know. I'm not sure why they held me back so long. I think they was holding me trying to see if they was going to be able to provide me with identification, but they was just like forget it and just let me out. So I came home without any identification. Um, n- really no type of resources from the system at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
so what specific challenges were you faced with when you first came home?
The first one was where am I going to stay?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't have a lot of family in Virginia, so I had to figure out exactly where I was going to stay, um, how much I was going to have to pay for rent, or bills. You know what I mean? Like, for a person with zero support coming home, I don't even know. They might have to go to a homeless shelter because it's like there's nothing there to help you. They're like they didn't give me a halfway house. They didn't give me um like the only thing that the system gave me was a food card with like 200 and it was like $280 on the card. I think it's like 280 a month. They gave me a food card, a SNAP card, and that was it. Like go for what you know.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. What about you, Martez? How was that first month for you coming home?
Oh, this last time in 2021.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, it was. The hardest part for me was going back to live with my mother at 41. That was the hardest part for me because I was in a certain place when I left, and I was good at my time away. It's just my wife at the time lived in Connecticut, but all my family was here, so I didn't want to go to Connecticut in the winter. That's not, and so I'm like, I'll come to Virginia. So the hardest part was just being humble enough to stay with my mother. I'm grateful, my mom and my step pops. So like, I didn't really have any. I didn't really have any issues coming home. First month, it was because I had did it so many times before, and I had resources. I had a couple of dollars. Um, the hardest part for me was just staying out of my own way and not trying to like be who I was before I left. And just adapting to civilian life. I used to call it regular schmegular. You know, I, I had never done. And so it was cool. It was exciting. Because I was just trying to be a regular person. So I can't complain.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Martez, did you face any mental health challenges when you were coming home? Regardless if it was when your first bid you did or the last, was there any type of mental health challenges that you might have faced?
For sure. I am a mental health challenge. And so all those, all those, going in, coming out, being this way, doing a bid, coming home, reinvent, like all that is traumatic. I just had a way to compartmentalize, suppress it, ignore it, deny it. Like I could maneuver in a mental space that was like my playground. But like on this one is when I really came to terms with the fact that I was depressed for like 4 years. I had COVID in the feds. Um, and like I almost died in there. I'm seeing people die in that joint every day, people overdosing. It was crazy. I'm way in Kentucky, the phones, it was, yeah, that was a wild situation. I lost two cousins, an uncle, a great aunt. I had a lot of loss. So I didn't properly grieve. It wasn't that type of community in there. So I internalized a lot. But yeah, it was the anxiety of it because I thought things were going to be one way. I thought that all the money that I left was going to be there when I got there, and when it wasn't, that was depressing. I thought the love was going to be there when I got home. That was infuriating, you know. So I had to do with a lot of stuff, you know, the emotional management. But it was cool though.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Darius? How was your mental health coming home?
Oh man, it was a culture shock.
Mm-hmm.
It was a culture shock, like, cause most of the stuff that's going on in the world now, they was not doing in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I was just like staring at everything. 'Cause to be
Oh,
honest, I was just observing everything, staring at everything, asking myself, am I dreaming? Is this real? Because you know, you feel like when you locked up, you feel like getting out is the answers to all your problems.
Right.
But then once you get out, you be like, oh man, like I still got different levels or different stages I got to go through before I'm even reaching some type of stability.
mm,
So you kind of like living with your back against the wall, trying to internalize everything and trying not to revert back to old behavior. You
mm,
know, you trying to walk a straight line as fine as possible. Like I'm telling myself, I'm gonna leave everything negative in prison, and while I'm out here, I'm gonna do all positive things. I'm gonna walk a straight line. I'm gonna be super legal. I'm gonna do everything the right way.
mm.
You know what I mean? And I mean, you just it's a struggle in the beginning. I mean, you get the hang of it over time, but I mean, I wasn't really depressed. I mean, I feel like I was a little antisocial.
Mhm,
It was a lack of connection with people
mm,
because I felt like we didn't have nothing in common.
Mm.
mm.
So most of the
That's
people
so key.
so most of the people that I connected with were still incarcerated or people that have been incarcerated in the past because we understood each other more, but the people who have never been incarcerated or new people that I met, like their personalities and mine, it kind of seemed like I was more standoffish. Like I really didn't want to get to meet a lot of people.
Mhm, mhm. I guess a question I have, I think, when people are expecting someone home, like it's all this kind of bundle of excitement, and they haven't seen you, haven't been able to touch you. Like there might be a lot of hustle and bustle, people coming in and out of the house, family, people that you haven't talked to in years, right? Like they might not have been on your JPay emailing you, you might not have had visits with them, but all of a sudden you come home and it's like, oh man, I've missed you, da da da. How do you manage your own, I guess, sensory input in terms of that? Like, did you feel comfortable saying, like, I just can't see anyone today? Or did you kind of feel like you were at the mercy of everyone that just wanted to touch you and have a piece of you? Like, what was that like for you, Darius?
Oh man, I felt like I got pulled in every direction
Mm,
because it's like once you get out, you got a curious mind, especially if you was a teenager when you got locked up.
mm,
So you want to do everything. You
mm,
know, you going to the bar, you going to every party. It's like you want to see it all. Like you might not indulge in everything, but you just want to see it. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to match what I seen on TV to reality.
mm,
I had never been to no club until I got out. So I got locked up without ever going to clubs.
mm,
I was 18,
mm.
so it was a lot of stuff I never done before. So I was doing it for the first time. And most of my family or friends wanted me to do it for the first time with them. So I was just being pulled in every direction.
Hmm. What about you, Martez? How did you manage the push and pull of social expectations of you when you came home?
Uh, I'm like the exact opposite of Darius. I was older. I was was 41. So it wasn't my main focus was trying to get back. Like I said, that was most of my things. And so I'm almost 4 years in. I'm still not really back active with all my people. Like, everybody know what's good is love, but it's just so many of them. It's no way. If I communicated with all the people who wanted me to communicate with them every day, I wouldn't get anything done.
Mm,
And so I'm on a mission. Like I'm still trying to break even to where I was 10 years ago. I don't really got a whole lot of time for a bunch of extra stuff. Like it's love, it's cool. My grandma's mad at me. You know what I mean? And I beat myself up. I go by every now and then. I catch up with them, but it's like it's tough. Like isolation was my therapy, and I know that's not healthy at all. But that was my coping mechanism. So long story short, yeah, I'm still being pushed and pulled, but I ain't going.
Was that boundary piece, right? We'll come back to that boundary piece.
I ain't going. So we had a question in the chat. Mary Beth said she's assuming DOC doesn't provide mental health resources upon release.
Do either of you want to? I guess you came from the feds, Martez and Darius, just in case no one kind of measured that. And I think that's good to consider the different approaches. So Martez, did the Federal Bureau of Prisons offer anything mental health wise in terms of resources when you were released?
Sure, they did.
Okay.
It was a lot of programs through the psych department. I took RDAP twice, and that was through the psych department. It's a good resource, actually. Anybody who's going through Fed time, I highly recommend it. And that's what really got me into therapy, actually, was being introduced to the programs, criminal thinking errors and that sort of thing. So yeah, it was cool.
Interesting. Darius, what about you?
Yeah, the state provides a couple different programs, and they give you a couple phone numbers that you could call if you need someone to talk to. They'll assign you a counselor. They do a couple things if you really need it.
How long did, you said that you got into therapy from there, Martez.
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I wasn't in therapy on pre-release as well. I mean, I'm sorry, pre-sentencing, because I was on pre-trial for 2 years.
Okay.
And so I had a therapist for like a year and a half before I went there.
Okay. Coming home, did you get a therapist?
I did, because like after the program, after RDAP, you have to do a thing called TDAP. And so they stay in contact with you for like 6 months afterwards. And now I work with so many therapists. I just sneak. I get free sessions all the time. I just talk to them and like just dump, and they give me some feedback. So I highly
Darius,
recommend it.
are you in therapy? No. Have you thought about therapy?
I haven't even had time to go to therapy. I drive a flatbed.
There's things like telehealth now, right?
Yeah.
They talk to you on the road now.
Yeah, they talk to you on the road. You can do that. You can do that stuff on Bluetooth these days. Ain't no excuse.
I might have to try that, because I haven't even thought about it. The only thing I've been thinking about is get home to go to bed.
Yeah. I think therapy is a really important piece. I don't know whether either of you saw what I posted yesterday with regards to research that's been done that compares the after effects of incarceration to that of someone that's gone to war. Right. And so we would expect that a veteran would go and seek therapy to deal with their PTSD and sort of shell shock and things like that. It's no different. Just because it was your actions, I think there's that stigma, right? It's like, well, it was your actions that put you in prison, so why should you go and seek help when you leave? It was your fault. But at the same time, yes, there was retribution and punishment for what you did, but everything else that goes with that, the violence, the aggression, the nature of prison itself is a collateral consequence of that, which I think is really important. And I mean, just outside of that, if I can help you with therapy networks and resources, I'm happy to provide that for you after the live, because I think that's really important. Yeah. If we go on to, I guess from there, Sarah, did you want to go on to another sort of barrier, maybe employment from there?
Yeah. So my question is going to be for both of you gentlemen, but I'll start with Darius first. Darius, what challenges did you face when you came home trying to find employment? Did the DOC give you everything that you needed when you left out those gates to be able to get employment? What challenges did you face with the application process or writing a resume or interviewing process to getting a job? If you could just walk us through that.
Oh man, since I've been home, I've had 3 jobs already. My first job was Amazon. The Department of Corrections, they if you are part of the reentry program, they are supposed to give you some type of resources or addresses from a job fair. before you are released, but I never had an opportunity to take reentry because I was released so fast because of the law change. So I pretty much was released without anything. So I had to go get an ID, get my license real quick so I could drive around, and I had to speed through everything. So I went and got a job at Amazon first, then I got my CDL license, and then I got a job at pouring concrete, and then I got a job driving for a flatbed company. So it was stages. It was hard because most companies denied me because I was a felon. As far as truck driving goes, they try to just send everybody to Western Express, and then you gotta get your 3 months experience and transfer out to another company because most companies not taking you right now unless they're their own owner operator. So it's kind of like it's a whole lot of brick walls for commercial jobs or jobs that require you going on base with a
Mhm.
twit card or anything in that nature. But as far as like a job like Amazon or a local job, I didn't have any problems. They didn't ask anything about me being a felon.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Martez, what about
So
you?
Like barriers coming home?
Yeah, with
Oh
employment.
no, because I was willing to do whatever I needed to do. Like we started the nonprofit like before I came home, so I knew that whatever I did, I had to be flexible with that. So my first job, I was a janitor at Top Golf in Virginia Beach. A
Mm.
friend of mine had a company. I worked there for maybe 2 3 weeks, made me a supervisor. I got like a $2 raise. Third shift, it worked. I did my program in the day. So I did that until I got off of house arrest. Because that was my way out at nights, like to maneuver around the system.
mhm.
Third shift, yeah, it was cool. I had my way. And so once my ankle monitor came off, I started working with ESI. Now, anybody that's coming home that can find stagehand work, event staging, I highly recommend it. That was if I would have started this when I was young, I would have traveled the world on concerts. I've seen every show, plays. It's so much. I would recommend stagehanding. So I did that for like almost 3 seasons. 3 seasons until I started getting grant funding for the nonprofits. I was doing all that and still doing the community stuff. Just you got to come out. You got to put in sweat equity. But anyway, once the contracts and the funding came, I walked away from it. So long story short, I only had like 3 jobs in that amount of time. Um, but since then, I do this full time. And so I just tell the guys, you can come home, take what you can get. It's the first step, and keep moving forward. Be ambitious, show up on time. It'll open up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Darius, had did you have to disclose, like when you do your applications and they come back with it, your background check, um, and you're doing your on your application, when you check, yes, I was convicted of a felon. Do you have to disclose that on your application? Um, in that aspect, do you have to like detail it out, or is it just like a check and you go on with your business?
Um, it depends on where you're applying to.
Yeah.
Cause if you're doing truck driving, it's gonna be detailed, and they're gonna call the feds. They're gonna call and do a real check on you.
Mhm.
They're gonna do like 3 checks on you. But if you're doing something like Amazon, I don't even remember them asking me anything in that nature.
Do you feel like non-violent? Because obviously, Martez, your crimes were non-violent,
No.
and they were non-violent, right?
This last one, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, well, that's pertinent then. Did you find any difference between coming home from a violent charge versus coming home from a non-violent charge in terms of your opportunities and the barriers?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Do you, Darius, like you said that sometimes you have to explain like what you did and what the crimes were. Do you feel like there are times where you are judged on the type of crime?
Absolutely, I feel like I actually was discriminated against by Prime Inc., the driving company.
Okay.
Mhm.
They was gonna take me. They like I told them I just got my CDLs. They was gonna take me, and then I told them I was still on probation, and they asked me for what. And then once I told them it was a violent crime, they said they came up with an excuse and said they can't take me unless I was off probation for 2 years.
Mm.
Yeah. That's common. I would say I was faced with discrimination about a month ago. I tried to get an Airbnb. I'm trying to do a trip, but Airbnb told me he wouldn't rock with me because of a Maiming I had back in '94. Um,
Wow.
it's crazy.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
but
And that maiming, because I'm Australian, maiming is like assault. Is it like assault?
well, I shot someone, but
Okay.
they couldn't prove that it was like, yeah, it was used for Maiming use of a firearm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 1994. But yeah, that's it. I recommend guys who have violent crimes who may have to get off probation. Like, just do what you have to do before you try to go after the career that you really want to be in. Just like take any kind of position, rock it out, get off paper, and then start taking those steps. We have to understand that society is gonna see us based on what they see as a whole. Like, they don't know us. So on paper, yeah, you killed somebody. You did 25 years. Like, motivate me to hire you, yo. You just came home. Like, we gotta understand, like, that's a human response, man. Like, nobody owes us anything. So I was a janitor. You know what I mean? I did what I had to do, get off paper, get off house arrest. So now they can see I can move freely. Just gotta take the steps. And like, I think that's a lot of it's a challenge because we're used to having things like when we want them. And so learning how to wait and delay the gratification, it's a skill.
I
Right.
think those expectations that people have of us, you know, when we come home, there's like this pressure, you know, whether it's go get a job, go do this, go do that. And it's not always that easy. I think even for someone like myself who hasn't gone to prison, you know, like I've got all of these things. I've got the experience, I've got the academics. It's not easy for me to land a job necessarily. So let alone
Right.
having all of those extra barriers, like it is a challenge. I just imagine that with all of those extra barriers, it could be, you know, disheartening. Like, you know, you mentioned like maiming from 94, right? Like you've none of the other ones mattered. It was
Right.
just that one from 94. It's like, okay, that's like 30
Yeah.
years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like,
See, with me, I'm
like,
like, that's cool. Like, either I'll Airbnb or I'll have somebody else do it for me. You know, so it's like I'm not gonna let somebody stop me from getting what I want to get done.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, then I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get what I want to get done. Like, that's it.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a question here from Incarceration Doesn't End Achievements. If your maybe you can answer this, Martez, because you're in the space. If your probation terms on paper say indefinite, how does that look as far as being supervised? Do you know anything about that?
I've heard of those situations where it's indefinite probation, and it may be indefinite unsupervised, whereas you don't have to report to anyone. But if you violate the law, then whatever is over your head is going to come back and haunt you. So that's how that goes. I believe that's how that goes.
Yeah, it would kind of be case by case. I presume they
Yeah,
like the probation process and you know, like I've had experience with a loved one coming home. Obviously they do their checks and put you on different levels in terms of your risk, and then, you know, you keep coming in and doing those adjustments, and you kind of move through the, you know, you might have to go in every week face to face, and then they might move you to phone. And I guess that indefinite piece would be the same. Like, obviously the aim isn't to have you coming in every week for the rest of your life, but based on how well you're performing and if you're meeting all of your criteria, then they're probably going to be a little more loose
yeah.
in terms of what they do. I guess for me, something that kind of resonated when you were speaking, Martez, is that you already had, you know, these ideas and this nonprofit and kind of what you were wanting to do when you came home. If we can kind of talk about social capital, I guess, you know, coming home and having an established sort of network of people that you're able to go to, that you're not having to come out of the gates and build that social capital. You've already got it from inside. The benefits of that, I guess, if you can kind of walk me through, like, obviously you had professional connections, but it sounds like you really had like some sort of, you know, group to come home to.
Yeah. When we say group, it's mostly family, and I had some friends, but mostly family. You know, I would say that the preparation was my success story. Like, during the entire time, I worked on me. like getting myself out of my own way and figuring out how my new identity was going to be, you know. And so as I studied a lot, and in my studies, it talked about being connected with institutions, organizations, and pro-social networks, and that was a common theme. So that's what I sought out when I came home, because I knew that by myself and left to my own devices, I would figure out a scheme to cut corners. That's what I did. And so to hold myself accountable, you know, getting into the nonprofit space and just connecting with the city and other nonprofit people, it showed me the possibilities. And so I highly recommend, if we want to be a different person, we have to be around different people.
Yep, I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely agree too. You got to be around them like-minded people. I believe in exchange of energy. So if I'm around people that
Yeah.
don't have that go to ambitious energy determination, I feel like it's going to bring me down.
Mhm.
You know, so definitely understand being around in the room with like-minded people. Besides,
Darius, do you feel like you had set up positive social networks for when you got home, or did you kind of go back to the people that you knew that were familiar from before you were incarcerated?
Uh, I set a whole lot. I set up a whole lot of positive networks. I had it planned. I kind of like had a master plan laid out to like try to take over to like start my own truck company. You know what I mean, and help add on to what my brother had going on, because we had um he already had 3 trucks before I came home from prison. You know what I mean, and this is stuff that I was trying to uh put my money towards when I got out and while I was incarcerated. So I was trying to invest in his dreams or his goals to bring his business to life and try to like add on to it when I came home so that I have something to land on.
Yeah, yeah, fair. I know you mentioned, you gravitated a lot towards people that you could relate to, right? People that had been in prison, people that are still in prison. Um, did you kind of feel like talking to people that like what was stopping you from, or what could have helped you be able to make small talk with someone that hadn't been to prison?
I mean, I could talk to anyone if it's that type of environment. It would be like, I think I talk to the youth more than I talk to the older people.
Okay.
You know, I feel like they'll listen more. They're more impressionable, so I could give them jewels, because the youth, they're at the stage where they're trying to explore the world. They're trying to figure out, how to get to the next level. Because the young generation now is a little different than when I was younger. You know what I mean? The only thing that matters to the young generation now is they want to have money. You know what I'm saying? And if you could show them a better way to get money the right way, you could pretty much get any young guy attention. You know what I mean? But for the most part, that's like what'll open the door for that though, is um teaching somebody something new, being around the youth, being around people in a social environment. I open up a little more.
Yeah.
so Darius, what type of coping mechanisms would you have used, or did you set like any boundaries
As far as what?
as far as you know?
Like
mm,
Martez spoke about, not always saying yes to people, or
right.
Oh
like,
yeah, absolutely. I had to stay on track. First I couldn't take no as an answer. You know what I mean? A lot of people use not being able to make something happen as an excuse to do nothing. You know what I mean? I couldn't take no for an answer. I had to keep fighting for what I wanted. I had to keep strategizing. If one company say no, then I had to shoot at the next company or shoot at 10 companies at one time until somebody answer. I had to stay focused. I had to concentrate because there's so many distractions now. You don't have as many as distractions in prison as you do on the in the free land. You know what I mean? So if you was easily distracted in prison, you're gonna be even more distracted on the street because now you don't have anybody telling you to lock down. You don't have anybody telling you to do this or do that. You know what I mean? So you can do whatever you want to do. So a lot of people that I seen that came home the same time as me, it kind of like hurt my eyes to see the stuff that they were into. It was like, man, like we just got out and y'all are already messing up. You know what I mean? You got to stay focused. It's easy to go back, and people forget how easy it is to go back once they out.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask that in terms of, have you seen it go wrong? Yeah.
Yeah.
Martez, obviously you've already spoken to, that whole perseverance mindset. I guess to branch on to what Darius said, I guess, what have you seen in terms of it going wrong? Like, give me worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, guy goes to prison in 2001 for possession with the intent to distribute crack, right? So he does his time, comes home, he does like 21, 22 years, something like that, comes home, tries to get a job. They keep telling him no because of his past. So he goes back to what he thinks that he knew, and scores some crack to sell, right? Some hardball. He has a cousin that gets high. He sells it to his cousin, who shares it with his friend, and they overdose because there's fentanyl in the heart. And so he kills his cousin. The friend doesn't die. He kills his cousin, and he violates and goes back in for that. Like, that is the worst I've seen.
And I'm sure that it was very mindless. It was a very mindless decision, right? It was just like, oh yeah, I'll just give my cousin some crack. Like, big deal. Like real small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a big scale operation. You're not taking stuff over the border. You're not bringing in pounds upon pounds. Like, it's just a quick little crack transaction. I'll get a couple of bucks. I'll be able to, eat well for the next few days, get some cigarettes, whatever. And all of a sudden, and is that murder now in Virginia?
They were talking about a death.
Trying to make a homicidal drug.
First degree, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of friends of Fent, because I'm from uptown. So, like, it's uptown way, right? It's terrible. But I was gone. I came home. It was like 10. I lost a guy on my job. He died at work on the lunch break. I want to take a one-on-one and dies at work. So it's like, it's real. Like the fentanyl thing. It's horrible.
Yeah. What about you, Darius? I guess, you said, and we know, July last year, a bunch of people came out all at the same time. There was a law change, it was fantastic. It was a win. There was a budget change, which meant that people with non-violent and violent mixed charges then could qualify for the additional earned sentence credits. Right. Without saying names, I don't want you to say names. Have you seen it go bad?
Absolutely. I've seen it go bad. I done seen people come out that was like 280 lifting all the weights. Now they 120. You know what I mean? Like, lost weight, getting high, can't shake it, got all the trades you can get in prison. It's sad though. It's very sad, because it's like, man, it's almost like when you go to high school and graduate, when you all get out, it's like graduation. You know what I mean? You see, like, we could have a reunion. All of us was locked up. We all got out around the same time. And it's kind of like a reunion, seeing everybody. You going to go through the streets, see everybody. I done seen at least 20 people I was locked up with since I've been home. And in Walmart, Food Line, just around the way, at the beach, at the ocean front, somewhere. And some people had good experiences and some people had bad experiences. But, one thing about it, man, you just got to have a plan. And if you don't have that plan, it's easy to break.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to kind of go on now about unhealthy coping mechanisms that you guys might have brought home from prison. Obviously, it's a very different environment in prison. It's very aggressive, it's violent, you're hyper vigilant, you're looking around for danger all the time, you're having to stay aware. I guess we'll start with you, Darius. What sort of things have you, and you're very new to coming home,
Yeah.
what sort of unhealthy coping mechanisms have you brought that you're, trying to shake, but the brain takes over and those habits take over?
Uh, just overly cautious sometimes. I still get overly cautious. I still don't like people standing behind me and stuff like that. Like, man, I like my space. I still like space. Um, I don't like people touching me. Like, I had to get used to a lot of things. Cause in prison you don't want nobody touching you. You don't want nobody invading your space, violating your space. I think what broke me out of a lot of habits is being around kids.
Yeah.
The children to break you out of, if you around children a lot. I have a whole lot of nieces and nephews. They broke me out of a lot of stuff. I open the bathroom door and my nieces is trying to scare me because they looking at TikTok on stuff with to how to scare people who just coming home from prison. You know what I mean? Little jokes. They playing jokes on me. You know what I mean? So it kind of broke me out of a lot of things early.
What about you, Martez?
Uh, my coping mechanism. I like to isolate. That's probably like my favorite of unhealthy coping mechanisms. Yeah, that's my favorite unhealthy one. Healthy stuff. I journal. I pretty much scripted this whole thing out, and so I highly recommend journaling. Highly recommend it. I meditate. I listen to a lot of music, like wordless music. I found I'm into this like hip hop classical thing right now. It's kind of crazy. So listen, I like music. I like journaling. I like a little nature stuff. I'm woodsy. I just try to mix it up a little bit to break because I work a lot. I can work all day, but to kind of break that up, spend time with my sons, my partner. I just try to just hit and miss because I know I can't isolate all the times where I have to deal with people. So I'm really just trying to figure it out. Like if I could be left to my own device, I would just work and isolate.
Yeah. What about self-care? I know that like you just kind of, talked about that, journaling, listening to music, spending time with loved ones. Darius, how do you practice self-care?
Oh man. I make music. I actually create music. I'm always in the studio if I'm not at work. I work Monday through Friday, but that weekend hit, I'm in the studio making music. Um, I love to write. I wrote books. I wrote movies. Um, right now I'm in the Timberland contest. Right now I'm in the second round for one of my songs. It's FYM Live. They basically saying that if you get enough votes, you could get 30,000 and have a place on Timberland album. So I'm in the contest right now. I've been doing music for a while, so I kind of like stuck to that. That's always been like my vent, making music. I done won talent shows in prison. I was ripping it, rapping in the band rooms, in the gyms. I done been in rap battles. I done been in it all. I done done it all when it come to music. So that was one of my lanes, and I was an engineer before I got locked up. I was messing with Interscope Records. I was messing with DJ Rob, 420 Records. So I definitely got around with the music scene.
Yeah. Our moderator can post the link to that for everybody and also post it in the event. We did post it earlier, but obviously we want to support and also guys, if you can go over and follow Darius, and then you'll be able to keep up with all of his music and everything that he's doing. Head to his Facebook as well. It's all linked in the event information, and so you'll be able to keep up with him because that's super exciting. I mean, that's an amazing experience and opportunity. Congratulations.
Oh man,
To give everyone a little bit of background, like Darius's slideshow, the song that was playing was actually his song.
Right.
So
exactly. And I actually made that song from the cell.
That's crazy.
There you go. Okay, Tory Lane. Okay.
Yep.
What do they say? If you're going to do a bit of jail time, at least make a song, right?
At least make a song.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Um,
I actually dropped 2 albums from prison.
Mm.
wow. Good for
Two
you.
albums. Yeah.
Good
Got in
for
trouble
you.
for it, but I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, look. They don't want you doing anything positive, right?
Not at all.
Sarah, do you want to just read that comment out loud so that I can remove it? Because it's covering up everyone's screen.
Yes. Okay. So Shy Love says, I personally know someone that was given 20 years for selling ecstasy and the 16-year-old overdosed. However, her toxicology contained ecstasy, MDMA, alcohol, and cocaine. Her friends did not call the police during their night of partying when she had a medical emergency, but the person that sold her the ecstasy was charged with the death and successfully appealed his sentence to the Supreme Court of Virginia. This happened about 20 years ago. Everyone should be careful.
Absolutely. I think it's such the landscape's changing in terms of drugs. You don't know what you're getting. Who knows how many hands it passes before it gets to you. Unless you're manufacturing yourself, you don't really know what's in it.
Exactly.
And now, especially in Virginia, it is a first degree. If you supply and you don't know what's in it and someone overdoses, you're the one getting a murder charge.
Yeah.
And that's nothing to kind of play about. I mean, yeah. From your thing about music inside, Darius, I mean, Martez, if you can kind of talk me through finding purpose while you're incarcerated. I speak about this a lot in terms of the way that the prisons want to strip you of everything that makes you individual. I can't count the amount of people that I speak to and I say, what are your interests? And they're like, I don't know. I play poker with the guys. I watch this on TV, but they don't really have anything that they can give me that's like a particular interest. And so then you come out and it's like, okay, well, where do you go from here? What things do you want to go and do? I guess, can you shed some light on the things that you were doing that were yours, that were yours individually while you were incarcerated?
I read a lot. I wrote a lot. I used to write a lot because I was writing books, and I taught a lot of classes. Like I said, I was in RDAP twice, and I was using RDAP to address my addiction to the lifestyle, not necessarily drugs. Even though I used a lot of drugs, I don't think my mind was able to become addicted to it. I was more addicted to the process, which is sad. I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, I wrote, and because I had to recreate my character, I had stopped using. I wasn't into breaking law again. So my entire experience was about getting to know myself and working on the new version of me. So reading, writing, I like chess. I play bocce. Like that's it. Like I kind of did my own thing. I taught a lot of classes for a lot of young guys who were interested in business. Like that was my thing because that's what I was really into before I came in prison, but before I went to prison. So I wanted to work on that, help the young ones who wanted to come home and do something different. Some got it, some didn't. Some thought I was weird because I wasn't like the criminal lifestyle wasn't cool. I'd done it and seen it so many times that it was just kind of lame. And so I knew when I was coming home, I wasn't going to do anything to send me back there. So I was just into myself for real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And aside from music, Darius, was there anything that you were sort of involved in as well?
I studied a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of reading. I taught a lot of programs. I did a lot of educating other inmates. Each one teach one.
Mm-hmm.
I ran a lot of store boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Try to figure out. I mean, to be honest with you, it all depends on how much time you got to do. Like the longer you're there, the more you're into. Cause like it's in different levels. Like my first 5 years, I was just learning prison. You know what I'm saying? My second 5 years, it was like, all right, I'm going ahead and start getting involved with what's going on in the prison politics. I'm gonna start store boxes. I'm gonna start seeing if I could turn 100 bags of coffee into some street money, so I could, start stacking my bread. You know what I mean? So, because after a certain amount of time, the outside world is cut off completely, and you're just left alone. Like after your fifth year, sometimes sooner, everything's just cut off, and you left alone, and now it's just you to deal with. So it's no one to cry to. So it's like, all right, I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm gonna just deal with it. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna deal with it the best way I can. Yeah, and I'm gonna try to do everything the right way. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to live righteously. So, I try to do everything I could to if I had to do this time, if I got to do 23 years, I want to try to come home a millionaire.
Hmm. Yeah.
So this time is not worthless. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a waste of time because the average person don't even see 100,000 a year.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So your whole mind state turn around. So how can I make this movie into $1 million? How can I write this next song that's going to blow up? How can I, you know, create 3 store boxes? How can I make this wine? How can I, you know what I'm saying? Anything you could come up with. Your whole goal is $1 million, $100,000, 50,000. Even if it's not a realistic goal, it's what you're telling yourself to get through the time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
So we have a question here in the chat from Shy Love. Do all prisons have programs to help people better themselves? If they don't have a program, I guess they need to take the initiative to form their own. I know that everyone is not a leader, but it seems like that's a needed quality to have in order to make the best of your time.
You want to
So
go
the
ahead?
question, go ahead, Kirsten.
No, I was going to say, Martez, do you want to go ahead first from a federal perspective? I know you touched on it earlier, but
Oh yeah, they're programs there. Definitely programs. I can't say that they're not. Some are institution led. Some are led by the people who are in there. It's just a matter of, is it drawing the crowd up? Because everybody doesn't want to change in prison. Like that's the thing. Like some people go there to make connects. Some
yep.
people go there just like, And so for the ones who want to change, they may be in the spiritual community or the business community, the workout groups. But then you have a vast majority that just play sports, rap, watch TV, party and bullshit, their time away. And that's okay. That's their time. But you're gonna perform how you practice. So the ones who get it. The ones who don't, go back.
Hmm. Yeah. Darius, programs in the state prison. I know that there are some. So we know that there are some. But talk to me about what happens when you get transferred. Talk to me about when you've got a long sentence. Talk to me about when teachers
Oh
don't come
man.
in. Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, programs in the system are not for people who got a lot of time.
Right.
Hmm.
I haven't. I mean, most of the programs were for people who had 5 years or less.
Yep.
I'll be sitting on the side like, why I can't go to this program? Why I can't go to this program? Or we want to get the people that's on their way home. What about the people that got to stay here? You know what I mean? And that used to have me upset all the time because I used to be like, man, I signed up for every program. I couldn't get in one. They be like, well, you still got 18 years left. I still got 18. So what?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you arguing with the people over the program. You like, man, so like you basically telling me to just find something to do on my own.
Mm.
There's no program for people that have a lot of time. You know what I mean? Like people people with a lot of time had to create their own programs. Like we created our own talent show. We created our own we had wrote some people outside the prison to have them to come into the prison and perform some type of stage act performance. You know what I mean? We had to create our own opportunities and present proposals to the wardens and the assistant wardens and the program managers to try to make something happen for the people who had time. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, the only thing that the prison system care about is ODing, overdoses, drug habits. You know what I mean? Like all the programs is mostly drug related now,
Hmm.
especially in the state. I don't know how it is in the feds, but in the state, everything is a drug program. You could write them and say, I got a drug problem and be in a drug program overnight.
Mm.
Go and they're gonna ship you to another prison or another facility where everybody got drug problems. and put you in a program where you can't go outside and see daylight. You're gonna be stuck in a building. They're gonna bring you your food to the building, just in case you know what I mean, just in case you wasn't serious, because they don't know who really has habits and who don't. So they're basically saying that you got to catch a charge to get put in these programs. You can't go
Gotta
to
be
them and say, I
steady,
gotta
right?
have it. Yeah, you gotta get it dirty. So they're like, you can't admit that you have a drug problem. You gotta get a charge and actually lose some of your good time and be in prison longer for you to get one of these programs.
Mm,
So
mm.
I think, and then once you're in those programs, from what I've seen, it's just a waste of time and money because the programs usually have the most drugs.
Most of the
They do
drugs.
have a lot of drugs.
Yeah,
So
They do
it's a
have.
waste of
Well,
time.
you've got all the drug users concentrated in one place. It's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, really, isn't it? I
Pot
mean,
of
you don't have
gold.
to shift it around through prisons. You're just sending it into one place. Like, hit the jackpot.
Hit the
Um,
jackpot.
Off of that, I guess, what are your opinions? And we'll start with you, Martez. If we're saying no to programs with people with extensive sentences, okay, and you had 4 years cut off your sentence, Darius. So we know that laws can change. And just because someone has 20 years doesn't mean that they won't get a pardon, doesn't mean that a law won't change, they won't go home early, and all of a sudden you've refused them for everything. If there's no programs available to these people and they're screaming, we've got drug problems, we've got violence problems, da 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 da, what are people supposed to do if you're not giving them positive things to do other than drugs and violence?
It's like you really can't stop a man who wants to do the right thing, right?
Okay.
And so if a person really wants to get himself together, he's gonna do it. But like not everyone's a self-starter, and so it becomes like it's not the biggest or the strongest who survived, man. It's the one who's the most adaptable to change. And so if you can't adapt to the institution not giving me programs, then you definitely need to network with the ones who are. And I think that's a good lane for organizations out here, myself included, because I advocate for pre-release work. We catch them when they come home. But like I say, they're gonna perform how they practice. And especially our brothers and sisters with long time, they can teach the classes. They get the information. They can teach them while they're in. And the more they teach, the better polished they are to come home. So, it's a thing. Like there can't be any excuses. And like I'm kind of hard because I know how I did my time and I know how to my old heads held me accountable. And it's really, if you want to get it done, get it done. Like the institution is not there to really teach us. They're there to house us and to make sure we don't get out. If we're trying to change some shit, we got to shake it up ourselves.
I agree. I am fully, that's my mind frame as well, I guess, from an organizational perspective, is that system change is a long game.
Yeah.
Changing the correctional system is a long game. I don't see it happening in my lifetime. And because you're older, Martez, it's probably not going to happen in your lifetime either, to be honest.
Right.
And so it's really about making the system work for us, right? It's like, this is what we've got. We can't wait on a law to change. We can't wait every year for General Assembly to come up and hope that a bill gets through and hope that the governor doesn't veto it. We have to look at, this is what we've got. How do we make the best with what we've got? And right now, to give you guys an idea and our watchers an idea, we're in the process. We've designed a curriculum for a reentry program that will be facilitated by the guys inside. It will go over things like, scamming, phishing emails, cryptocurrency, things that they don't even expose you to. What is mobile banking? When you go and open a bank account, what are they going to ask for? Virtual interviews. No one goes in and interviews face-to-face anymore in an office, okay? It's all done over Zoom. And if you've got a guy that's been in there for 40 years, he doesn't even know what Zoom is, right? He doesn't know how to use it. Things like setting boundaries, being comfortable saying no. Substance abuse as well, having solid networks in terms of having sober buddies, having goals, being able to budget. We've got budgeting templates, making sure that if this is your income and this is what you have to pay and you don't have enough to pay what you need to pay for the month, what's an option? Like, how do we brainstorm ways to move things around instead of going and selling an ounce of crack?
Yeah.
And that's sort of, and that's the reality. We have to do it ourselves. So we go in and we speak to our facility leaders in our facilities and we go, what do you need? What do you need? Tell me what you need. And we put the onus on them. You need to deliver this. You need to put this forward to the administration and you need to sit there every week and teach it. We'll support you, but people that are coming home need more. Reentry, what was your reentry like, Darius? What did they give you?
0.
Mm.
I didn't even take reentry. They asked me to fill out a book. They said, fill this book out. And the book was just asking me personal questions like, who are you gonna stay with? How much money do you think you're gonna be making? And like stuff like that I didn't even understand what was the point. I thought the book was more for the probation officer than me.
Yep. Yep. Where are you going to stay? How much money are you going to have in your wallet? Not how are you going to make the money?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, don't worry about how you're going to make the money. You
I
know,
did. I was trying to figure out what it was for. I was like, why are they asking me all these personal questions? Who am I going to stay with? Who am I related to? Write down your family tree. Like, it was like, what is like, what
how's
does
that
this have to
relevant?
do with how is this rehabilitating in any way? How is this preparing me for society? They forced me into an open dorm. I went from a 5 to a 4 to a 3 to a 2 in like within months. So I get to this open dorm and I'm about to lose my mind because I'm like, this is not society. You're
No.
not like I'm in an open dorm now. You're forcing me to deal with people. I went from a cell environment on a high level that never gets basic human rights to always being outside all day, every day, and never being able to it was hard for me to adjust. I had to learn how to sleep around people because
Yeah.
it was like a homeless shelter to me.
Yep. It is.
I'm
It
like,
is like a homeless shelter, like a college dorm, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man,
It's
it's
not
like
reality.
everybody's running around, yelling and screaming like life's a game. You know what I'm saying? And I just came from a serious environment, so I'm like, oh man, they haven't even been to prison yet.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at them like you never been to prison. Like you
mm,
locked up, but you ain't been nowhere where you had to watch your back or anything. Like you playing around. Like people in those environments, I was shocked because they didn't think they could die in prison.
mm,
You know
mm,
what I mean? So
mm,
that was the difference. Like I came from somewhere where you could die in prison to a place where everybody just laughing and joking like it's a game.
mm,
So I just think that the way the system is designed, man, it's designed to keep everybody separated. It's designed so that people on different prisons, like political prisoners, can't teach people that's about to go home anything that could actually help them. You know what I mean?
mm,
Because there's people that stuck on in solitary confinement. I done did time in solitary confinement with people that it's like they very powerful, very positive. And you can't even see the criminal in them.
mm.
They're very positive and influential. It's like all they have to do is be heard, and the system do everything in their power to make sure they're never heard.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. That isolation is key, right? Because, and I think, from my studies, I mean, when you look at a prison environment, it's a community. And when you look at the COs versus the people that are incarcerated, the COs are outnumbered, right?
Right.
Like we've
Right.
seen it. So if they keep you isolated and stop you from making connections, they're breaking the ability for you to become a force, right? So like if we keep you apart and we keep you segregated, you don't become friends and you don't scheme and plot and you won't get one over us and we can still control you.
Right.
And I think that, like you said, like those positive influences, like, yeah, you're missing out on the bad influences, but you're also missing out on the positive ones.
Right.
And that's hard because there are really good people. I've met some amazing people that are incarcerated and, they're just itching to teach and to lead the youth, and the guys coming in and just starting their bids, and saying, hey, I've walked this path before you, let me help. And they just can't because they're so restricted from what they can do. I know, Darius, you wanted to speak about those higher levels. So before we kind of, start to wrap up, in Virginia specifically, like, you're only 8-9 months out. Let's shed some light on what's going on in Virginia's higher level prisons.
Oh man, they're not even getting showers. You got to fight for a shower. You got to kick and scream for a shower every 3 days. I mean, sometimes like it all depends on who's working. Like most of the time, they're gonna say they're short of staff. They can't do anything. Nobody wants to work on a high level no more. So they try to replace humans with dogs and guns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not really working because every time you turn around, somebody's stabbing a dog. So they lock us back down. They lock you back down. You don't ever get to see outside wreck because they saying that they can't control anybody. So it's like they turn population into one big isolation. So when you while you're doing your time on a higher level, the only thing that really matters is the person that you're in the cell with. You like, man, I don't care how long we lock down, as long as I got a good celly. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that the reality is they don't care if we lock down. They don't care if the toilets don't work. They don't care if the water don't work. You know what I'm saying? They don't care if you don't see outside wreck. They don't pretty much care about anything, and there's nobody to help because you don't exist when you're on a higher level. You don't even exist. So they invented body cameras because since you don't exist, the officers could beat you up and do whatever they want to you, and nobody will know about it. They can actually hide you. You know what I mean? Put you in a hole so long nobody even heard from you. I done had people go. I done seen people get bit up and shot by the dog, get shot and bit by the dogs and pepper sprayed and beat by the police, and I ain't seen them in years. I don't even know where they went. They just transfer them to Red Onion, Wallich Ridge, Sussex. It's like one giant world. They just, that keep kind of like rotating within each other. All the officers from Red Onion rotate with Wallich Ridge and rotate with Sussex. So it was like, what in the world? Where like Sussex 2 had two sides to it. They had the you do something on one side, they send you to the other side. You do something on that side, they send you to Wallich Ridge or Red Onion. So it was like a system. And
Shai has asked, just before you move on from that, someone has asked if you can explain what do you mean a gun and a dog? Do you want to share?
Well, they have all kinds of guns. They got riot guns. They got pepper, like a pepper bomb color. It's like a colorful pepper bomb. Like when they spray it, whatever it hits, it's gonna shatter on it, and it's gonna be like a ball of pepper spray, and it's gonna be different colors. That one. Then they got the riot. That's like a bean bag gun. It's very loud.
And that'll break a rib, right? Like just because it's not a bullet, like that does damage. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gonna damage you. People lost eyes. People lost teeth. They got a riot gun. They do warning shots. They just shoot at the wall. They got little marks on the wall on the floor. If it gets too, like, they just tried to make a law saying they can't use the dogs, but when I was there last year, they could bring 4 or 5 dogs in there and let them loose on you. And
that only passed for juvenile.
You said the what?
That dog law only passed for juvenile. So they can still use dogs in adult facilities.
Yeah, the dog's chewing you up. They gonna chew you up. They gonna just let them loose in the pod. You gonna be in it wherever you at in the pod. That's when them dogs gonna be biting on you. Yeah. And the dogs got silver fangs, so you might have 4. You might have 4 dogs biting on you.
Yep.
You could get in a fight. You could be just minding your business on your way to the chow hall, and somebody just take off on you, and now you got 4 or 5 dogs biting on you. You got the police shooting you. You don't even know what's going on. And then the police they're gonna grab you and they're gonna beat you up all the way to the hole and pepper spray you the whole time and act like you're resisting, even if you're not. That's just come with it for making them mad for acting up when the wrong person was around. They might say the warden is on the compound, and if a fight break out, they're gonna punish you. Like the cameras is not gonna work that day. They're abusing the inmates in Virginia. I don't know how they doing in the feds, but in the state of Virginia, they are gonna beat you. They're gonna beat you and hide you.
What about the feds, Martez? What does that happen in the feds? And if not, why doesn't it happen?
I can't speak to USPs. I've done like mediums, lows, and camps. And the COs will send in a turtle squad. But for the most part, the culture isn't really on that. Like some spots have like stab vests. Most of the time, people are just trying to get out of there, man. You know, you're so far from home, and the politics are a little bit different because if a person messes up for everybody, and it's a lot of that group punishment stuff, and so they're dealt with. You really want to have people in the community that doesn't bring unnecessary attention. People trying to do their time, get a couple of dollars, and just kind of get by. So when you do reckless stuff and everybody's punished, that's not cool. But as far as like the COs beating and dogs and stuff like that, it would have to be extreme, and then maybe on a USP level. But Lowe's camps, definitely not a camp because everybody's just chilling. Lowe's, no, it's a little bit. It's just a little bit different. It's the feds, so people are from everywhere. It's like the BOP is just held to a different standard versus the state of Virginia. They can kind of do what they want to do. How VA gets down anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna give it to you one way or another. So,
Oh man.
What's the process? Like, are the feds governed better? Are they like, why are they not behaving that way? What do you think is the main difference?
it's some wild spot. I would just say the politics. And I can only speak for my limited exposure to the spots that I've been to, and my perception shaped my reality. I know how I moved and things that I was into, so I can really speak to that. But as far as how COs respond to us, you have like the racism, like the profiling. Let me pat you down. What's in your bag? That kind of stuff. But as far as just going all out, I would be more concerned about renegade, like other convicts than the police. I mean, than the COs. They never really jumped in. They never jumped in my way. But as far as no, I really can't. I can't even. I can't say that. You know what I mean? It happens, but I've never witnessed it.
Angel has a question here for you all. Give us advice on how we can help our loved ones who are subject to this form of treatment. Any advice on what they can do?
Oh yeah.
Process.
First you could you definitely got to stay in touch with them. Always, if you don't hear from for a couple of days, always call the prison. Because the prison, one thing that the prison respected while I was incarcerated was you having support from the street.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? If they know you don't got support from the street, they'll carry it way different than when you do have support from the street. So that's one thing that's a game changer. Like, your people could be in the hole right now. You call the prison, like, what's going on? They're gonna be trying to figure out why you still in the hole. Go ahead, let him out the hole. Because there's people calling, we don't want to raise no red flags because what we doing right now at this point is a lawsuit. You know what I'm saying? And they definitely have like action networks in Richmond and all that, like people who could step in and make it a political thing. Because if they blocking the grievance process, then you gonna have to make it a political thing, because there's nothing else you could do but start sending lawyers in there and trying to figure out what's going on, or politicians in there to see what's going on with their basic human rights.
Yeah. I would say as well, like approach an advocacy organization, myself, Sarah, us. If you need help on identifying, be familiar with the procedures, making sure that your loved one inside is completing the grievance process. There is a grievance process for a reason. And if you make sure that they have completed the grievance and formal complaint, then you can use that to show that they've done everything that they can, because the DOC will push back and will say, well, they haven't raised a complaint, they haven't done any paperwork, and then you're already behind the 8 ball once you go to them. But I mean, I've personally had a bunch of, positive results from raising. It might not come from the first email to the facility, but I have a process where I go, okay, I'm going to go to the facility. I'm going to give you a week. Then after I go to the facility, I'm going to copy the regional in. And if the regional doesn't get back to me, I'm going to head office. And then the head office knows that the next step is I involve delegates and senators. And so do you want to go there? Because we can. Right. And so there's a paper trail. Paper trails are important.
Yeah.
I know you said phone calls. I try to err away from phone calls because there's no record. There's no record of what someone says to you or what you say to them. Emails are important, even if you make a phone call and then follow it up with an email, just to confirm our conversation, A, B, and C, right? What about you, Martez? I guess, I don't know how much, connection you have to people currently in the state prisons, but how would you suggest supporting somebody that's perhaps maybe not even just, violence and retaliation, but mental health and supporting someone in prison?
Regular correspondence, advocacy groups, of course. That's what I would say. If they're going through things and you can't communicate with them, just come from all different angles, family, friends. I would go through the chaplain department, psych department. I would just work the institution as much as possible versus just going, for, the COs or whoever, just to go through different departments to kind of get to them. And just don't ease up. It's going to be a process, state, local, whatever. It's going to be a process.
Yeah. I always try to kill them with kindness.
Yeah, for sure.
Like coming at them sideways and calling them names and threatening their children usually doesn't get you the result you want. But if you kill them with kindness and show that you're being relatively level-headed, like often I'll be like, how can I help? Like if you guys can't control this or you're having difficulty in getting my loved one out of the hole, what can I do to help? Like, let me know. And eventually you're putting the onus back onto them and saying, like, this is not okay. I want to work with you. And if they then refuse that, they're seen to be the problem, right? If we just point fingers and we look like we're not trying to work with them, it's that thing of the system is what the system is. We have to work with the system as it is. And so, emailing them and telling them what a shit job they're doing, telling them that they're useless, telling them that they need to, leave their jobs. It's not going to happen realistically. That's a long-term plan. There are people that do that. There are activism and I support them completely. But when we're trying to get an immediate sort of reaction or you're trying to get your loved one, into a mental health facility or maybe seen by somebody, calling names isn't going to get that person any help. You're just going to get someone on the defensive.
See, they a lot of times they try to block the grievance process. So, I had one time in my bid where we had the hunger strike in order to get results. Like we had a group hunger strike. It was like the whole top tier hunger strike, and they end up letting the whole top tier out into population. This was during the pandemic because during the pandemic they said they couldn't transfer nobody.
Right.
So we had the hunger strike to get out the hole because they was trying to leave us in the hole the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's sad, but there is forms of protest that you can do. Obviously we don't want anyone sort of, risking their own health. But that's the sort of, it shows you where you get to, mentally. I know, Martez, you spoke about collective punishment, right? And I just wanted to note, our Bridges Beyond Bars page has put a couple of things up here on collective punishment because I think it's really important to note. Do you want to read that part, Sarah, or do you want me to read that and then you can read the definition on collective punishment? Or maybe Martez, do you want to read this?
Sure.
You see it? Go ahead.
Yeah. The Geneva Conventions prohibit collective punishment, a key principle of international humanitarian law. Specifically, Article 33 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, GC4, states that no protected person may be punished for an offense they did not personally commit, and that collective penalties and measures of intimidation or terrorism are prohibited. This principle also applies to prisoners of war, as seen in Article 87 of the Third Geneva Convention, GC3. That sounds great.
Yeah. Darius, did you want to read this one on the definition of collective punishment? This is just a thought-provoking little piece for everybody in the comments, because I think that this is really important.
Okay. Collective punishment defined. Collective punishment involves punishing a group of people for the actions of a few, even if the group is not directly involved in the offense. Why it's prohibited. International humanitarian law recognizes that criminal responsibility can only be attributed to individuals, not groups. This principle is enshrined in the Geneva Conventions to protect individuals from unwarranted punishment and ensure a fair legal process.
So when we look at, and I'm sure you said you experienced in the feds, and I know that you would have experienced in the state prison. If someone acts out in a pod, that person doesn't get, like, they might remove that person from the pod, but the entire pod gets punished.
Right. It was like that. It was like that at certain spots. It depends on where you are. On the lower level, it was more like that than a higher level. On a higher level, everything is individual. On a lower level, everything is a group.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It's like a therapeutic community on a lower level. On a higher level, it's like, okay, everybody locked down until we remove the threat. And then we come right back
That's not
out.
realistic at a lower level. You would assume that at a lower level, they're trying to make it as realistic to community as possible, right? If you and I,
Right.
let's say the 5 of us are at a bar. There's 4 of us here. Don't mind my counting. The 4 of us are at a bar. My friend here. And Martez, you do something. The 4 of us don't get punished.
Right.
Right? Like, Martez, you're on your own. If you want to take your pants off in public, like, we're not all getting punished for indecent
Well,
exposure.
that's not necessarily true now.
Okay,
If
go
he,
ahead.
if we all with Montez and he shoots somebody, he's gonna have 4 counts of use of firearm, like my case.
Right.
But are we going to get the firearm?
Absolutely. if the victims say that you was involved,
Even
all
if
the
it's
victims, it's called the trigger man law in Virginia. All the victims got to say is they was there,
And
you got to use a firearm.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Martez. You were really
Yes.
quiet.
If we were all aggressors and one of us shot that person, we're definitely all in the same gang.
So is that not collective punishment?
Well, because we moved, but in that situation, like, we moved as a unit. Like,
Right.
if we roll up on them together and then it happens and we flee together,
Okay, so we're a gang then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's a violent social network is what they call it now.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
man.
please don't. I'm not going out with you, Martez. Just
No, that's all.
Sarah, did you want to just add this part on advocating from Sheila?
Yeah. Exhausted legal avenues and procedures first. And if that doesn't work, go public, because they hate bad publicity, and contact an organization, your local delegates and politicians, etc. Always send emails. Emails are subject to public information requests. Anyone at any time can request emails of an employee or agency. They can lie and say they don't or didn't call them, but they can't deny an email that you sent. And don't stop. Don't give up. State facts in your emails. Absolutely. Because the thing what I love about paper trails really is you can't tell me you didn't say something when you wrote it.
Yeah.
If I could go back and pull that email and say, but wait a minute, on such and such day, you told me you were going to do this, and this is the action that was going to be taken, and this is the resolution that's going to be had.
Right.
You can't tell me that you did not say that, or that wasn't what you were going to do, right? If it's in writing. Everything in writing, you can always go back to. And like Shai Love said, you request that information, you got to hand it over. And me and, Darius and Martez and Kirsten are having conversations, all hearsay, right? There's no recording. It's y'all word against mine.
Right.
But if there's something written down in a communication between us, then it's a different story.
I agree. Yeah. So I guess if and I mean, there's questions coming through forever, so like there could be other questions. I know Kevin has said that he'd like the both of you to reach out to him in terms of highlighting your stories on his TikTok platform, which is huge. So I encourage you all to kind of connect on that space as well, in terms of moving forward and getting your stories out and highlighting what you're doing. And if any other questions come through, we can address them. But obviously, we've been on here for almost 2 hours now. So if you're ready to conclude, we can. Sarah, is there any kind of finishing points that you want to bring up?
Yes, hold on. Okay. Sorry, I have somebody trying to ask a question and they can't figure out how to type it in the chat. So I was trying to see if I could wait to see if they were going to get it.
Oh, that's okay. Do you know what the question is?
No, I was trying to see if they're going to give it to me, but
sorry, you deal with that. So I guess to conclude, what are next steps for both of you? Martez, if you want to kind of plug what you're doing in the space, what you're doing in your area, where people can go to support you, where people can go to follow you, and what we're going to see from you in this area going forward.
Well, Life Launch Inc. Is the reentry space. That's really what we do. We help men and women coming home overcome those barriers. We partner with HR Cap and Virginia Cares. So every Thursday night at 5:30, we have peer groups from 5:30 to 7. We cover life, reentry, networking, just overcoming barriers. Our next step, May 1st, we're getting into creating opportunities because employment is a major barrier. So instead of asking people for jobs, we're going to create them. So, we have some opportunities coming up in the next 3 weeks. So I'm kind of excited about that. I just published some journals. So we have journals for our groups. We do a little bit of everything. So you can just check me, Martez Guerrero, on all platforms, lifelaunchinc.org.
Can anyone purchase your journals, or are they just for people that come in and do the Life Launch program?
They can purchase them. Well, right now we're kind of focused on giving them to our people. We're going to release a batch for sale. Probably, I'm going to gift y'all 3. If y'all journal, I have some for you.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about sending them in. I mean, I think that, and you've shown me sort of the format. I don't know whether you want to do it in a more facilitated style, but those guys, especially the ones that are in our higher levels that might not have access to programming or a facilitator, something to work through that is positive.
Yeah, sure.
In the whole, in RHU, I would love to, maybe we can talk about getting some from you in bulk and distributing those and partnering, because I think, anything in terms of self-development, like you said, in pre-entry, we focus so much on re-entry, right? But once you walk out those gates, it's too late. It's too late. Right. It's too late. We need to start inside, identifying even just awareness, right? Just awareness of the things that we've got going on. A lot of people don't even realize how different they are to the people out here and the things that they formed. Because say you've been gone 25 years, you don't remember what it was like to live out on the streets. You weren't even 18, Darius. Like, you weren't even an adult. You hadn't even lived an adult life. And so all you knew as an adult was to function in a prison environment. And so how do we begin to identify that what we're doing are antisocial or maladaptive mechanisms unless someone identifies to us, like, if you come out here on the streets and do this, it's probably not going to end well for you. Right. So perfect. Chai Love has popped all of the links in here. Life Launch, I've also posted the flyer in the event page and the link to your Facebook page. We are screaming for resources over in the Newport News, Tidewater, Hampton area, and Life Launch is something that is over there, and you've got regular meetings and you've got a regular space for people to go and access resources and be around like-minded people, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So, really quick, I got that question. Okay. It's for Martez. Can newly released individuals connect with you on navigating the job market?
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah, just shoot me. You can inbox me. That's probably the quickest way. Just shoot me a message on Facebook, and we can go from there.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And Darius, what about you? I know your music stuff we posted in here. Obviously, you're going through this Timberland contest, which is great.
Oh
How
man.
can we support you? How can, like, what's coming next for you?
Oh man, I need everybody to go and vote. It's on Orbit, ORBIT. No, it's three I's in it. ORBIIIT.com.
Mhm.
And my music is under Live Forever 100. The name that's posted up here, LIVEFOREVA 100. No spaces.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty much just pushing the music scene right now a little bit. I ain't start performing yet. I'm about to start performing soon. Once I get everything organized, I'm still in the recording phase.
Mhm.
I usually go to the studio compound. It's a very nice studio out in Norfolk. Um, right now I'm just working. Just been working,
Mhm.
driving those trucks. That take up a lot of your time.
Mhm.
Driving from state to state. Once you get released, you could do work travel on probation. So all you got to do is just email your probation officer where you're going, and most of the time they approve it right
Mhm.
then and there. So I just been traveling state to state, staying focused. My next move, I'm just trying to, create some type of stability. I'm trying to, get get my own place, a place of my own where I could just build from there. And that's what I'm working on right now.
And are you open to people reaching out to you as well?
Absolutely. Anybody could reach out to me. If you need a songwriter, I write songs. you know,
Yes.
I got a team of songwriters.
Perfect.
Um, I got a lot of artists that I'm dealing with right now. It's a nice amount of artists. Um, I write songs that you could sing and songs you could rap. So
Mhm.
they need a ghostwriter. I'm here. I got producers. I got people that make beats.
Mhm.
Um, we got engineers. We got it all. So anything musically, if you need some type of advice on what steps to take with your CDL license, I can give you
Mhm.
advice.
Mhm.
If you want to know what companies grab you, I can tell you which companies will grab you and what you need to get grabbed.
Mhm.
Um, I'm available. Just hit me on Facebook or Instagram. My Instagram is Live Forever 100. Also, my Facebook is Darius Reborn Holloway.
Mhm. And you're on Spotify, yeah, Apple Music.
Yeah, I'm on every platform. I'm on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube,
Perfect.
any streaming service. I I go through Universal Music Group, so I'm on all streaming service. I'm on JPay.
As in the kiosk, right? Like they can buy your music inside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm. Perfect. Excellent. All right. Well, I am going to, I guess, play out the slideshows as we kind of finish up tonight. If we have any more questions come through, if you guys can pop in the chat, you're more than welcome to leave out, or you can watch your slideshows again. But I guess from me personally and from the organization, I just want to thank you for taking the time tonight to chat with us, to be vulnerable, to talk about these important topics. I know that everybody that has come in and viewed have taken a lot. I've taken a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not until we start to have these conversations outside of private chats and outside of, just meeting that we're able to reach other people. And so please don't underestimate the power of your voice. And I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and lend that with us.
Yes.
I
Tonight,
appreciate
tonight was definitely rich, very educational, informative. So I do want to thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your stories and your journey.
Mhm.
Um, and again, thank you, Darius and Martez, for showing up with honesty in your heart. And to all of you in the comments, thank you for being a part of this movement. Lots of educational gems that were dropped in there. So we really do appreciate that.
Definitely. Is there anything that you guys want to add before we go?
Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the show.
Excellent. Martez, anything from
Good,
you?
good.
Oh, you're muted, Martez.
Yeah, you didn't need to hear that anyway, so I'll change it. Nah, it's good to be here. Y'all are funny for real, so it's like it was good to see like the other side of y'all. Like it's business, but at the same time, y'all are cool. So it was a great opportunity. I appreciate what y'all have going on.
Absolutely. Mark your calendars. Next week we have another live event we are doing every week in April. Next week we have 3 women. So we're not speaking to anyone directly impacted or has been to prison. We are speaking to a wife, a mother, and a family member. And so we are talking about the ripple effect of incarceration, which is a little bit of a different one. I think that everyone really focuses on the people coming home, but we need to be looking at the impacts on the families that are left behind and the communities that are broken by the impacts of mass incarceration. We're taking a wider lens, right? Family, community, grief, and survival.
Absolutely.
Dope. That's dope.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And if you or someone you know wants to be featured in a future conversation or has a story that needs to be heard, please reach out. We want to be that platform that gives you the opportunity to have your voices heard. Let's keep making this space for each other.
So from all of us at BBB, thank you for being here. Keep showing up, keep speaking truth, and as always, keep rewriting the narrative. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Peace.
Daddy worked like a mule mining Pike County coal. He fucked up his back and couldn't work anymore. He said one of these days you'll get out of these hills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. See, the ways of this world just bring you to tears. Keep the Lord in your heart and you'll have nothing to fear. Live the best that you can and don't lie and don't steal. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Well, Daddy, I've been trying, I just can't catch a break. There's too much in this world I can't seem to shake. But I remember your words, Lord, that bring me chills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Keep in mind that a man's just as good as his word. It takes twice as long to build bridges you've burnt. And there's hurt you can cause, time alone cannot heal. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Well, Daddy, I've been trying, I just can't catch a break. There's too much in this world I can't seem to shake. but I remember your words. Lord, they bring me to chills. Keep your nose on the grindstone and out of the pills. Keep your nose on the grindstone.
Self-reflection, peace of mind, happiness, life and love. I cannot find any words that come out of my brain. I feel the stress and the pain, so I drink until I sink. I'm in sync with another part of my inner self, so I think I should leave. I tried to change it, but it wouldn't, so I let it be. Screaming fuck you too once I realized now you don't really fuck with me. Got feelings that I lock away, they'll fuck you up if they ever got free. One of my exes probably got the key and probably dropped it in another nigga Jeep. Hermit. No wonder I don't really take the people make me never wanna speak. And I know when it's real, I know how I feel, I know when the love really there. I might try to catch a mid-air, and she gonna jump, knowing that a nigga right here. I got a pulse clear, I got a pulse clear, I got a heart. I stare at the ceiling, I'm alone in the dark. I know this feeling, I'm surrounded by sharks, so I swim slow. Got hopes to blow like Nintendo. I'm dancing on them like I'm Winslow, cause the window's super small. Could've got shot cause my block kill 'em all. Kept that 9 Glock, nigga, I can't chill at all. Police try to grab us, yo, I'm taught to hold water, I ain't spill it all. Hermit. Can't stay here, I never leave room for the lies. It's hard to trust you cause the things people do for a pie. My light shining so it got me feeling like ride. Be my riot, understanding we use for the eyes. Hermit. My pops had me young, I was young when I started playing with guns. Young rebel, breaking the law was our way of having fun. My pops loved a little nightlife, so he ain't racing his son. My mother wouldn't let him even if he wanted, she ain't staying in touch. Hermit. Now I'm pouring up a drink, having $1 million conversations with my brother. Now I'm building up a team, 100. Fuck what a nigga think, we run it. Hermit. Talk to him rap.
It seems I done seen it all. So the folks who done seen me evolve. The scene on the scene, hopping out of something so clean that when it get wet, it dissolve. I mean, all of the fiends come around back, give me money, get crack, get lost. Get up out of here. 12 about to run up, no time to put the gun up. Watch how this motherfucker get tall. I'm at Hermit. Better bet your last dollar by next week, a nigga have another one. Confirm it. If I run into the one who shot my brother, then I better be a murder one. Burn it. That's blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh. None of that respect, you respect. And you can bet your ass on that. You give me nigga X in the emoji tongue. Step up to me with some nerve, boy. Hey, I get your shit put on the curb, boy. Hey, I'm waking up, squeezing the trigger, I'm paranoid. Bullet hole in the bedroom door, shell case on the bedroom floor. That right there ain't no metaphor, it's facts. Okay. Them young niggas toting them pistols, no permits. They OG as hot as the furnace. They practice and preach what they learning. This shit is concerning. Damn. These niggas more grinning than Kermit. Okay. Too much of that lean in their stomach is burning. They digging up graves determined. Give me some time.
The reason why I never leave, never thought I'd see the ending. I feel like I'm still alone inside, even though I know I'm winning. Shorty's so attentive, but my gut telling me she pretending. Just feel like it's tea without the lemon. There ain't nothing in it. Just like a relationship that's bending, problems always pending. You try to act like you independent, but you so dependent. Yeah, I know my lineage, got your nose up in it. Find some business. Now I'm living friendless, never met so many, not authentic. Hermit.